Welcome to our training, the advantages of pre-compliance and interop testing for Bluetooth products. So looking at the types of testing, before looking in detail at the pre-compliance and interop, it's important to first look at the different types and definitions of the test types. There's people refer to different testing in different ways, so I'm just going to define how I'm applying it. And the testing can be broken down into four main categories. That's the design validation, pre-compliance, interoperability, and regression. But you can also break down the testing according to the stage within the product development cycle. So that's development, prototype stage, etc., product launch, and then post-product launch. So starting with design validation, design validation is really verifying that a product complies with a particular specification. It tends to include regulatory requirements, which are the requirements to sell a product in a given market. So that can include EMC, radio, safety, etc. And then industry body certifications such as Bluetooth, i.e. allowing you to display the Bluetooth logo on your product or in your documentation. Moving then on to pre-compliance testing. This is also known by many terms. So some people call it pre-qualification, pre-conformance, or just plain pre-testing. But pre-compliance testing is a low-risk, cost-effective method to ensure that when you send your product off for the compliance or qualification testing at the end of the development cycle, it's going to pass that first time, or you have a high confidence it will pass first time. And you're testing for both valid behavior, so conformity to the Bluetooth standard in this case, and invalid behavior, so checking that the product can handle incorrect messages and unknown states. You also have the ability to go in pre-compliance above and beyond the qualification requirements and cover real-world scenarios. Then interoperability is the next step. So that's verification that two devices work together as intended. Just because two devices are validated or compliant, if you like, that doesn't mean that they'll actually work together. This could be because, for example, the standards have ambiguities in them, so people are interpreting requirements in slightly different ways. People have different design approaches, timings between messages are different, and then you have coexistence when technologies such as Bluetooth, Wi-Fi are combined. And then also sitting outside of the part that you have invalidated, the software, for example, that sits above the validated Bluetooth stack. So that could include audio controls, for example. So you may press pause on an app, and that pause command may go over the air, but it's ignored by the application on the receiving side. And both interop and design validation are critical for end customer satisfaction and their user experience. And the final type of testing is after product launch. So again, this has several names, but I'm just grouping it under regression testing here. So perhaps the firmware of the device has been updated, or there's been new features that are added or unlocked, and you want to have a degree of confidence that they're going to work correctly in the field. But just as importantly, you need to make sure that they don't cause unwanted issues in other areas. Also in the real world, you might have tested interoperability against a set of devices for a given market, and that market can change. So for example, if your product works with phones, there may be new phones launched all the time. There might be updates to the phone operating systems, or there may be updates to dependent apps such as audio streaming apps, Spotify, etc.